Alrighty then, y'all asked for it, you have got it. This here is the living room panner. This here is my cleaned up living room. And this here is one of my sluice setups. It's in my recycling bin. Got a little pump over here. Runs off of 110 power and just connected a water hose up to the end. Got dual controls on it. And got a pretty decent flow going across there right now. This is one of my favorite pans. It's a Prospector's Choice. And I've got some concentrates here that I have gone through, and I don't know, not some recently, some not so recently, but I'm going to run them again through my sluice, and then we'll pan it out. So this is going to be a multiple part series video, and we're going to call this part 1. And I'll give y'all a little demonstration because you're probably just dying to see what it's going to look like going through here. So these are wet cons, and I just ease them in there and let the water do its magic. Sometimes I'll help it a little bit. And there it goes. And as it flows down, I help the bigger rocks. This pan is really set up for probably finer material more than more heavier stuff. I'd say probably anything below 1/4 inch is fine in this pan, but I know there's some mixed stuff in that other pan that I'm running right here, and I don't mind kicking out the bigger rocks. Looks like we're going a little bit too fast, so I'm going to back it off just a tad. I'm out of jet dry, but you could use a little detergent. It helps break up the surface tension of the real fine sand, the real fine gold dust, the finer stuff. That'll keep it from flowing away. It'll make it settle because it will float. And if you don't get your water just right, then you have problems, you know. So there we go, kicking out some of this bigger stuff. Not much chance of finding anything in there after it's already been ran. There's something right here. It's pretty heavy. Looks like a piece of silver ore. Maybe some silver in that ore. Pretty heavy. I'll go ahead and set it aside just for giggles. And here we go, another little batch run through there. I'll keep the video going as long as we don't go over 10 minutes. It takes forever for it to download. All the black sands and all the gold finds will get trapped in those little tiny ripples in the pan, and when you finish you'll see most of it up here at the top, but it will scatter all the way down. Like I say, you got to get your flow just right. This is a pretty neat setup. They give me a template and everything with it on where to drill the holes precisely. I lost one of the bolts, but this screwdriver here works pretty good. And just set it on the edge of your bucket there and go after it, man, right in your living room, dude. No mess, no muss, no fuss. After you sluice all your concentrates down, you wash this sluice box out into your pan, your gold panning pan, and then you fine tune it and get it down to the nitty gritty and see what you got in there, you know. Sometimes when you're running fresh material, you'll see gold flakes and nuggets right off the get-go. And I'm not sure if we will out of this stuff I'm running right this second, but I got other stuff that hasn't been ran, and we're going to run some too. I just have to go through it more than once, just the way I know, you know. You never throw your stuff away. I talked about that once before, back in the day, probably 6-7 years ago when I first started doing this. And I just had a little pan I was doing in my living room. And I was throwing all my cons away after I would pan them. And then I got to hearing from other people, you never throw your stuff away. You always go through it as many times as you can tolerate, you know. Even if you don't find anything, it's fun to go through it and interesting to see what you miss, you know. And I'm going to grab my flashlight here, and we're going to take a look real close. There's a piece of gold right there. See it? There's one over there on the edge. A little bit harder to see up here in this top section. That's where most of your finds are going to be. But there's a piece right there. So just goes to show, man, you never catch it all on the first run. You got to keep going through it. You just got to keep going through it. And 3-4 times you don't see nothing in there, maybe you can just put it in a bucket off to the side. I got about 1.5 buckets of stuff that I feel pretty confident of going to, but on a rainy day I'll go through it again. And the longer you let this thing set here, you see it slowly kicking out all that black sand up there. That black sand is the second heaviest thing in this pan. The gold is the first. So that black sand, it wants to stay in there. So just shy of silver or something like that. It's black sand is tough stuff. Lynch Mining's got some black label stuff that's all black sands, and boy, it's time consuming to go through it. But it is what it is. It's fun, it's relaxing, and there it is, folks. I'm going to shut this video down, and we'll start it back up again when I get some fresh stuff out. Alright. Please hit the like button, leave any comments, recommendations, suggestions, and share with your friends. Alright, folks, road to 400 right around the corner. Later, taters.